Changes Naruto. Chapter 26, Project Legion. Ryzen was ecstatic. In 3 short days, he created a Cyberman and started on 2 others, each with different special abilities. Only one was working properly for now and was ready to use. Voltage, activate. Ryzen command. Mechanical man on the table in front of him. The small lights on the helmet lit up, and it set up. The armor was bluish gray and dark green in areas. Around the bluer part, it stood to its feet and turned to Ryzen. Then got down on one knee in a bow. I should have gave you the ability to talk, Ryzen thought absently. Voltage shrugged and then looked up. I need you to do a few things for me. Naruto stood with his foot on the larger man's neck. Ichi had killed the flying girl and was glaring into Narada's eyes with his Sharingan active. Ichi had him in a genjutsu and was searching his mind. Sasuke was being warned by Kara and Princess Yuki. They were sitting by the fire. Ichi then grabbed Narada by the neck. We need to go. The only threat left is Doto. He is a high A-class Chunin, and I will take him while you protect Yuki. All right, Sensei. But you should take one of us back as backup, Kara spoke. Kara, I'm a high cage level. I'm in a whole other league from a regular Chunin. The only person in this village I can't fight on equal grounds is your dad. I won't need backup against a man like Doto, Ichi replied confidently. Naruto stood up. Sorry, Sensei. You're my comrade. I'll never leave you behind. Ichi saw a brief flash of Kakashi. Those who break the rules are trash. Those who abandon their comrades are worse than trash. That was something Kakashi told him when he was first starting out, and it made a huge impact on his life. Ichi smiled. Fine, you will act as my support while I fight, understand? Naruto smiled happily. Yes, Sensei. Ichi turned to Kara and Sasuke. Sasuke was in no condition to fight just yet. You two stay here. I will place a camouflage jutsu around this area, so protect the princess. Chapter 27, Death of Doto. Ryzen wiped sweat from his brow. He had made 5 cyborg ninjas, and now, with their own power and strength, he was ready to get his teammates and run. Vultures, Titan, Shura, Hunter, and Dragon activate. Ryzen smiled, and each came to life. He could see their status inside his lens. Master, what is our mission? The tallest one asked. It had the bulkiest flame and was built to tank right through just about anything. His name was Titan. All except Voltage were able to speak. Distraction while I retrieve someone. Once I'm gone, I'll signal you to leave if you are still functioning. Doto grinned. His armor would protect him from any weak jutsu this man could use. Ichi glared, his Sharingan spinning erratically. You realize I have to kill you, right? Doto laughed and shot forward. He threw his arm back, prepared for a massive punch. Ichi stepped to the left, allowing the punch to sail by harmlessly, then jumped back as Doto snarled. You think you're being able to dodge my punch means you're stronger? Think again. No, I've already won, Ichi said confidently. Doto laughed loudly. I'm not beat yet, kid, Ichi smirked coldly. When you threw that punch, I had enough time to slap a handful of exploding tags on your back and disuse them with jinjutsu. Surrender or die. Doto looked back, not seeing anything. He pointed a large finger. You think I'll fall for that bluff, you? Boom! He vanished in an explosion that racketed the clearing. I did warn you, Ichi shrugged. Naruto landed beside Ichi. That was awesome. Ichi smirked. Narada was actually tougher. Naruto nodded at that. Let's get back to Sasuke and Kara. Chapter 28, Failed Plan. Rins glared at Pin. You beat them that quickly. You really are unstoppable. Pin nodded. I'm good. You were a fool to stand against me. I'll admit, though, that there were very interesting creations. Resin was lifted into the air by gravity. Pin walked closer. If this is any consolation, Haya has been dead for months. I just never told you. Tears escaped Resin's eyes as he glared. You're not a god. You're the devil. Then Resin smiled, a small smile, and whispered, Cyber barrier. Ryzen fell to his knees and shot forwards, his right hand becoming a blade as he swung at Pin. Gravity stopped Ryzen again, but Ryzen laughed. The bladed hand separated from the forearm and shot at Pin, stabbing into his chest. Blood escaped the gravity, Pin's mouth, and fell over. Ryzen coughed. At least I've killed you. Then Pin aimed a palm at Ryzen and squeezed. Ryzen's body exploded in on itself. The real Pin sighed. Such a waste. I will repair the gravity pin and destroy the land of snow. Naruto tensed and tried calling out the stage cloak, but nothing managed to do it. Sasuke was chanting with his sword, and it had bandages over his eyes, along with Ichi. They had already unlocked Sasuke Mangoku's entreated eyes. Kara began trying to add lightning to her Rasengan and make it very destructive power. I'm thinking of letting you guys take part in the tuning exams, Ichi said, taking a break from training Sasuke. Naruto scoffed. We're at least a low Junin in power. Do you think the other teams will even stand a chance? Ichi nodded. It's more or less a formality. We have had 2 A-class missions now, and you've done incredibly well. I am betting it'll be you 3 and Naomi at the end. Naruto smiled softly at that. I bet I'll win. Sasuke hurled a pebble. You forget, I've got access to the Sharingan eyes now. Kara has most of the 9 tail power. Naomi can vanish in an instant, and you have little black balls. Naruto turned an annoyed glare at Sasuke. Those black balls can stop S-rank Jinjutsus in their track. He shrugged. Sasuna is a principle of defense and offensive techniques. Kara interrupted. Naomi has more chakra than any other creature on the planet, so I think I'll win. Ichi was smiling at them. You've really turned into a family. 3 days later in the Leaf Village. Team Ichi walked over into the examination room with their heads held high, proud of their progress. Naruto had his chakra orbs turned into rings on his right hand, and his 2 teammates followed behind closely. In the classroom, a man with scars, black trench coat, and a black bandana explained the rules of the written test. Congrats to all of you that have passed the test, Minoru Ibuki said loudly. Naruto grinned because he'd spent most of his time drawing on his paper. Alright, kids, come with me. Kakashi Uzumaki Numazi walked into the room with her typical Junin uniform on. Chapter 29, Forest of Death. Naruto, Sasuke, and Kara were rocketing through the forest for other teams to steal the scrolls from. Kara suddenly halted, making the other 2 stop as well. What's wrong, Kara? Sasuke asked slowly. Recently, Karama has given me the ability to sense negative emotions. I sense some very powerful ones coming around here, she replied, getting ready to fight. Karu, you talented censor, young Uzumaki. Today I want the 3 of you to entertain me. A man with long brown hair and a grass village headband stepped from the shadows slowly. Sasuke activated his fairly matured Sharingan, and Naruto's orbs began circling him. Naruto, how much of the cloak can you use? Sasuke whispered with a grunt. Not a lot, but I think maybe enough. Naruto's eyes turned to a glowing yellowish orange. A red aura appeared around Kara. The man smiled. Interesting. It appears I won't be able to hold back. Then he pulled a long sword from his mouth. Sasuke and Naruto shot forward first. Naruto aiming high and Sasuke aiming low. The man sidestepped Sasuke and threw Naruto easily. Rasengan! Kara yelled, only for the man to swat away the powerful blue orb with his sword. Sasuke was already doing hand signs. Fire style jump a fireball! A pair of fireballs shot from his mouth, twisting and turning into one another. Kara no Yori, Naruto yelled, hurling the wind spill through the fire. This resulted in a single orange beam, hitting the man in the chest and doing all the way through. Then the fireballs caught up and hit him too. They could kill a normal person, but the man was reduced to mud. Shit, Naruto yelled, his eyes fading blue. Sasuke, the Gonki powers would be incredibly useful right now. I don't know how to use them. The bandages came off yesterday, remember? Sasuke called back, clashing his sword with the man. Kara went from overhead, swiping, but the man ducked, and blue fire lit up his fingers. 5-pronged steel. He then hit Kara in the stomach. Naruto's right hand became encased in a gold aura, and he shot forwards with anger. Rah! He punched the man in the left arm, completely tearing it from the socket. Blood turned to vapor from the sheer speed that the punch was thrown. The man's eyes widened. Then he spit a considerably regained vision of himself from his mouth. He turned to Naruto angrily. To think a lowly genin like you could do such damage to my body. Naruto growled, chakra flooding from his fist. The man grinned. You should be proud. Most genin can't do that to the legendary Orochimaru, strongest of the Sannin. Sasuke was suddenly surrounded by a purple aura. Ah! A ribcage of concentrical purple chakra formed around him. Leave him alone! A spherical arm formed and tried to squash the man to the ground beneath him. Orochimaru appeared near Sasuke and went to try and cut through the skeletal aura, only to have it deflected by impenetrable chakra. Interesting, it seems your Sharingan is more developed than I. Over by the tree line, Kara was slipping from consciousness, but managed to toss her father's kunai. There was a yellow flash, and a long cut developed along his chest, and he flew backwards, bleeding heavily. Minato and Uzumaki stood there, glaring angrily at the snake Sannin. I heard you attacked my daughter's team. Prepare to die. He vanished again and kicked Orochimaru through the trees he was leaning on. Orochimaru might be a Sannin, but the yellow flash was an unstoppable force on the battlefield. Naruto nodded shakily. How do you know we were here? He saw a kunai and a dozen feet away and understood immediately. Chapter 30. Battle of the Cage. Minato stalked forwards as Orochimaru pulled himself to his feet. Knowing he'd never be able to run as fast to get away, he prepared to fight. Minato scoffed. You know you can't beat me. Just roll over and die. Orochimaru seethed. I still have a few tricks up my sleeve. Romanian Jutsu. He slammed his palm down, making 3 coffins with numbers 1, 2, and 3 written on them. When the fronds fell over, they revealed the first, second, and third Hokages. Now Orochimaru had a stick grin. I may not be a match for you alone, but with your predecessors, I believe I can kill you. Minato-kun, Horizon, the third Hokage said, astonished. How am I here? Minato glared. Ask your pet snake. Tsurobima, second Hokage, looked around. It appears someone learned my kenjutsu, brother. I see that. Too bad that he didn't bring us to our max power. We could have broken free and killed him. Hiroshima, the first Hokage, sighed. Orochimaru aimed his fingers at Minato. I command you to kill him! The 3 shot forward with speed that impressed Minato, if only a bit. After all, in contrast to the speed, who can match the yellow flash? Tobirama reached him first, aimed a kunai to stab him. Minato grabbed his wrist and slammed his free hand into it, shattering the bone inside. Then he pushed him away, and Hiroshima and Horizon both attacked. Hiroshima and Horizon Both began waving through hand signs, causing Minato to create a Sengon in his right palm. Deep force emerged. Harzan slammed his palm down and caused a massive root to grow around Minato. Dragon Fire Bullet! Harzan breathed out a massive ball of fire. Suddenly turned the root prison into a fire pit. Their attack would kill most people. Luckily for Minato, he could teleport. Minato landed near Trebium, because in their brief exchange, he left Hirshan marked on his back. Then Minato slammed the Rasengan in his hand into Trebium's back, obliterating his upper half. Just when Minato was about to still him, he had to dodge a large slab of rock that Hiroshima had thrown. Minato smirked, then cut into his thumbs, using the blood to draw a complex seal on both of his palms, then hurled a three-bladed kunai between the third and first Hokages. Just as it passed them, Minato teleported, and faster than anyone could react, he slammed his palms into their foreheads. Fun ninjutsu, eliminate chain seal. Chains sprung from their bodies and wrapped around them, then bolted them to the ground. Minato silently thanked his wife for allowing him to study her chains. Orochimaru paused and considered leaving while he could, only for Minato to kick his back leg and bring him to his knees. Tabarayam was so reforming and couldn't help him. Minato passed the blade to Orochimaru's throat. If you want to live, I suggest you release them. Orochimaru cursed, but did so. The Hokages turned to ash. Now release me. If I let you go now, you'll be plotting revenge. The Minato slit his throat with so much force, he took the snake Sannin's head off. As Orochimaru lay there bleeding to death and a small white snake slithered into the ground, Minato sealed Orochimaru's body into a scroll and vanished it. Normally he'd help Kara more, but he wanted them to finish off the Chunin exams. Naruto picked up Kara and pulled Sasuke to his feet. Let's find somewhere to rest. No doubt the chakra this fight used up will scale other teams away from here. Sasuke nodded. Yeah, hey, I know you're mad at your dad and everything, but he's strong as hell. He took on 3 Kages and killed Orochimaru of the Sannin. We kinda owe him one. Naruto brushed it off. He wasn't saving us, he was saving Kara. Eventually, they found a hollow tree and laid Kara under it. Naruto, that power you used, was that the Sage Cloak? Sasuke asked. Naruto nodded. I think so. I haven't figured out how to use it over my whole body, though. That power it gave you was amazing. I think with it, you could truly be unstoppable. Sat next to Kara and placed a wet t-shirt on her head. Naruto shrugged. I was given these abilities for a reason. What reason? Sasuke asked, eyeing the blonde. Naruto leaned back and breathed heavily. To protect the earth. That's all I was told. Hell, the old man didn't even say what the powers I get. Besides, the Sage Cloak never mentioned these orbs. For all I know, I could have any number of powers. End of chapter 30.